No, sure. Thank you, Josh. Is it Joshua or Josh?
No one calls me Joshua, but it is Joshua.
Oh, you don't like Joshua?
It's normally Jasheen. Historically. Historically, it's Jasheen.
Does Amanda call you Joshua? Oh.
Ooh, how often is that? When you're in trouble, Josh.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I said Josh. Ooh.
Josh, yeah. All right. Hey, look, we're working.
Oh, sorry.
Nobody knows, but we've been working on this microphone for a while.
I feel like I look like an Eskimo.
What you guys even use this for yesterday, Josh? Because I was filming something yesterday and it worked fine.
Nancy's mic wasn't working, and so they unplugged hers for chat, which I thought.
Oh, that's what it was. They were doing that. Yeah, Jermaine was doing the little chat thing that didn't even work that day. He was like, "Oh yeah, we're good. It's gonna work fine." And then all of a sudden, middle of the AI's like, "You have reached your limit. Please upgrade."
You have reached your
And I'm like, "Dude,
99
you bum."
cent subscription.
Yeah, I'm like, "What are you doing?"
Dang, that sucks.
He's like, "I'm not gonna upgrade a pro." I'm like, "Then don't
Yeah.
don't launch this, then, man. What's going on?"
Right.
What's everybody? Welcome to Beyond I Do.
What's up, y'all?
Thanks for joining us today.
It's cold in Southern California today.
Yeah, you're looking like you're like. Can you like adjust yourself though
No.
properly, so that we can actually have like decent content? Like stand up, sit up straight. There you go,
Get off my
Matthias.
back, bro.
Sit up straight. You
Get off
know,
my back.
fix your posture.
Leave me alone.
You know, fix your fuzzy jacket, whatever that is. You know.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Still brings springtime. in the
We're coming.
cold.
We're coming up. I don't know when this episode. Does this episode air on Thanksgiving Day, Nancy, or another episode does? Is this Thanksgiving right now? No. Our episodes air on Thursdays, Andy. And
Andy, what do you mean?
when is Thanksgiving every year, Andy?
Yes, it is.
Andy Ken Skywalker. Okay.
Ooh, and then I got a good.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
I've got a good topic
Andy thought
today.
Thanksgiving was on Wednesdays.
27.
All right. As far as I'm aware, I think this episode is launching on Thanksgiving. And I think it is Thanksgiving right now, or at least the week, because you may be listening to this another time during the week. Or
So everyone should
whenever.
be comfy, cozy in their stretchy pants with nice
Yeah,
sweatshirts.
I'm sure everybody's family is gathered around this podcast. I'm sure
They
aunts,
are.
cousins, grandparents, they
are.
were like, for Thanksgiving, we know what to do. We should watch Beyond I Do. I'm assuming so, probably. So
The way you just pronounced it, like Dr. Seuss, I mean, I'd want to tune in too.
that wasn't a technical error. It was just me not responding to Ashlee. My mama said if I don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. I feel like I'm not even in focus, Andy. I feel like I feel like I'm blurry. I feel like. You sure about that? I don't know about that, man.
It's just true.
We'll see. It's my hair. It's my head. What are you talking about, bro? My hair's fine. All right.
It's becoming invisible.
It's thinned out because of the testosterone, but you know what? We're baby stepping. We're working on, we're working on it. So you can't be juiced and not lose your hair. So got to figure out some alternatives. Apparently,
You can have some of mine.
no, there's not a whole lot there either. It's not real half the time either. So,
Mine's real today.
know,
This is
yeah.
real, guys.
Yeah, that's that Lionel Richie.
Curls for the.
You can't start clowning on me and think that I'm not going to return the favor. You can't start. Listen, Thomas.
Yeah, there are so many
You
things that I
can't-
want to say right now, but I'm not.
Listen.
I'll take the Lionel
Listen,
Richie.
Thomas. You can't start shooting at me, talk about me balding, and then think that I'm not gonna get you back. So
I didn't say. You said
that's
you looked
exactly
at a
what
focus.
you said. You
I
were
just
like,
said,
it's not your non-existent hair, and then you said it's thinning. So
well, okay. You know
Okay.
what?
I'm just saying,
Your mama.
if you get,
Your mama now.
my mama don't listen
Your
to the
mama.
podcast, so your mom does. My mom does it. I don't
Your
think my
mama.
mom knows how to get on the internet.
That is 100% true. That was 100% true.
Yeah.
Yeah, your mom does not know how to get on the internet. But I will tell you, there are many of parents that have messaged me, many moms that have messaged me, and they always laugh because they either come up on their Instagram or TikToks of their kids talking about how do your kids defend themselves, and all of them that have messaged me have sent it's them saying "Your mama."
Yo, mama, see? It's a good way to
Your
defend
mama.
yourself. It's good. It's a good comeback.
It is. But today, I have something I want to talk about. I don't know how far it will go. I don't know if it'll go into depths or lengths of the time frame that we have today. But you and I had a conversation. You and I went on a trip the other day, and you brought up a conversation that you and I have just never talked about. And not for any particular reason. It's never been a topic of conversation, but it was actually really fun to talk about. Well, it was kind of short-lived because I didn't expound on it. But you had asked me if you travel, because you travel, and you said, do you ever want to know if a girl or a woman hits on me when I'm out of your presence?
Yes, okay.
And so,
Yeah, okay. I didn't know what she was talking about. I got a text and it was like, hey, we're in the studio. And then Ashlee and Nancy said, Ashlee's got a topic. Just get ready. She's going to have it. And now it's all making sense.
Yeah.
No.
So you and I have never had this conversation just in relationship and our
12
marriage.
years being together.
Yeah. If we ever got hit on by somebody out in public or someone was overly friendly to us and we kind of could have perceived that they were attracted of or hitting or trying.
Yep.
If we would tell each other.
Yes. Yeah.
We've never had that conversation.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So go ahead.
Yeah.
No, you go.
No, you go ahead. Yeah.
So when you had asked me, I forget my response. You said, if I ever got hit on, would you want to know?
Well, your response is, it depends on what you said back, and I said, well, that's the stupidest thing ever. You want to know if I flirt back? Like, why? First of all, like, I shouldn't be doing that. Second of all, that would be like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like,
so then,
of course I don't flirt back.
So
it's
then,
like, what are you talking about?
In that moment, I shut it down, basically, like, yeah, but did you flirt back? Like, are you showing interest? He was like, no, of course not. And I was like, okay, then no, why would I? But that led to more conversation that I wanted to talk about today, because we didn't really, I didn't shut down the conversation. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, jealous in that moment. But it really made me think like, have there been times that someone has?
Your response at first was, I assume you get hit on in your DMs all the time.
Yes, I did. say that.
And you said, so I just assume that's always happening, specifically in the DMs. And that one, I was like, no, I've never been hit on in my DMs. Or, obviously, at least there's never been a perceived, attempt to flirt in a DM. There's maybe been a question, but it's always been spiritual. It's, hey, I'm dealing with this, and then sometimes I give an answer, and then if they continue the conversation, then I go, hey, here's my wife's Instagram. You want to talk more? Here's her Instagram. If it's just hey, I was with my friend's small group, I had a Bible question, I answer it.
Right.
So yeah, I was like, no, I've never been hit on in a DM before, but I said in person, yes.
Yeah. So tell in technically 2 days.
Was it 3? No, it all happened in one day.
Oh.
It all happened in one day. Something about Indiana. Indiana's I guess I'm an Indiana 10 is what it is.
Nancy laughed a little too hard.
I'm a California whatever, but I'm an Indiana 10 apparently. Apparently no one in Indiana's got style. I'm wearing something similar I do right now. Short jacket, denim, cowboy boots, baseball cap or whatever. And so I had to think about the third. It did happen 3 in one day. The third is slipping me right now. But the first for sure was I was at a stoplight. There's 3 girls. They were hanging out, and they had music, and they had their windows down. And then I just turn over, and I see them, and then they're like trying to get my attention. They're like yelling outside the window, and they're like, roll down your window. We want to talk to you or whatever. And they're, I don't know, probably in their early 30s or something like that. I turn and look. I'm like, what? This is ridiculous. And so I'm like, because I can't tell what they're doing. They're just like yelling, and then they like, you're attracted, whatever. They said something like that. Roll down your window. We want to get your number or whatever. And then I looked, and then I just looked forward, and then they drove, up ahead, turned, like the girl stuck her head out, and they just seemed to be like having fun or whatever.
Yeah.
But they were friends and, you know, whatever. So, and it was during the day. And so I was headed to the airport to come back home. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, like that was weird. You know, like that doesn't normally happen. A group of girls aren't just yelling at you outside the window, roll down your window and give you their number. And so I was like, you know, I kept it moving, didn't respond, didn't say anything, didn't roll down my window, whatever. And it was just a really odd thing. And so then I got to the airport and I was ordered food and I was waiting food and then someone was right there and a girl was right there and I could tell that she was like looking at me in the corner. Normally if people are staring at me, it's because they recognize me. And our podcast and my sermons are recognized all over. And I don't say that like braggadociously. It's just we get stopped everywhere. Dallas, Florida, whatever. You know, people know who we are. You know, Mexico, like we just get recognized everywhere. And so she's staring at me. I assume that's what she's gonna do, and then you could tell that wasn't as like plain as the one earlier. It was more like, hey, you know, what's your name? Where are you from? And then I was just like, oh, I'm from California. I'm going back home. And then they called my number and got my food, and I could tell she wanted some type of conversation that wasn't friendly. Like I can tell, like when I was in Atlanta, I was with my buddy, and there was a girl in the coffee shop that was like, oh, I love your boots. You know, blah, 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 where are you from? Yeah. But it was like, oh, just because then when she stopped with me, there was a girl next to her and she said, I love your purse. And then they started a 30-minute conversation, exchange numbers. So it was like, you could tell this girl's a golden retriever. Yeah. But then you could tell when someone's kind of not. And then, so I got my food and then I left. And that was kind of like an odd day where it was like multiple times in one day. And it really doesn't happen often. And then, so on my flight on the way home, and there's like normally I'm traveling with someone. And so this was just an occasion that you didn't want to come with me last minute. And so then I was going to multiple cities. So it didn't make sense to bring someone with me or else I'd be paying out of my pocket to do that. And so I just went and did the things that I had to do. So then on the flight, I was like, oh, I wonder if Ashlee would ever, like we've never talked because those were odd that they were very, so I was like, I wonder if Ashlee would ever want to know if I was hit on, because, you know, like, I was like, I don't know. I know she doesn't care. Ashlee's not the jealous type. So it was like, I know she doesn't care, but would even she find that funny or whatever? Like, oh, you know, people are still attracted to my husband. Okay. You know, because I forgot who I was talking to. Someone actually just told me this the other day. They were like, oh man, it was maybe Phil. I guess I had said something like a year ago and I guess the conversation was like, I guess someone had a family member, like a brother who hit on someone's wife, but they didn't know that she was married. And then it became this whole like thing, you know, amongst their like friend group. And the brother was like, man, I'm sorry. I didn't know. They were at like a public thing. Yeah. Man, I didn't know. And then all of a sudden, like the husband was like mad and like, you know, don't ever talk to my wife or whatever. And then I think it was Phil or someone who had asked me, Adam, what do you think? I'm like, well, if someone finds my wife interesting or attractive and they don't perceive a ring on her finger, if they approach her, good on them for trying to, you know, to try to secure a date, you know, and then obviously once she makes it clear, oh, that's my husband or I got a ring or whatever, you know, he needs to back down. But if he doesn't, you know, I was like, what does it matter? You know, if someone perceives my wife as pretty, you know, what am I insecure about? Right. You know, and so so it's like 2 days ago, Phil brought that up. Like, hey, you remember? And then I was like, oh, I forgot I even have, like, we've had that conversation before. And so, yeah, that was this recent thing. So then I came home and like a couple days later, I was like, hey, I had this thought. What do you think about it? Yeah.
And in the moment, like, I think because you and I have such a great friendship too, we troll each other bad.
Yeah. Well, Ashlee was like, I assume they're probably ugly. Yeah, you know, like I'm sure. And I was like, no, they're pretty. You know, like, and then she'd flip it and be like, well, how pretty? You know, how pretty? And then, oh shoot, I'm in a corner now. Right. Not that pretty. Really that pretty? Yeah. Yeah. So that's for our relationship. We troll each other to that point, but it's also like someone would say, well, is that an insecurity of yours? No, I find my husband attractive. I tell him he's handsome. I know that, but I also know in return that he's very much attracted to me. So if someone were to hit on my husband,
there's a lot of women that would get aggressive because I think I sent that TikTok to you after I said, is this how you wanted me to respond when you told me you got hit on? And it was a girl coming to punch the girl. And I'm like, if my husband is engaging, no, he's going to get punched. No, he's going to get punched. Like, you're entertaining her. Like, that is where I would come. Like, if you were like, oh, well, thank you so much, I'm married, bet. If she kept persisting, then now I'm going to have to punch her. But those are the things that will, and I don't fight, but if it ever got to a point where we were in public, and let's just say that did happen, and someone was, I'd be like, hold up, he's married. But I think I'm intimidating enough that they would stand down. So I don't think I've ever gotten to that point.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be rare that someone would have the audacity to hit on someone and then find out they're married or whatever and then perceive
Right,
that's silly. I think that's really uncommon. It's
Right.
more so of what is common, which would be either
Like I have been hit on before, but I make it abundantly clear. I think I told you about it. It was this young kid. I think it was at Kaiser. He was probably I'm not even exaggerating. He was 5'2", cute little black kid. He literally looked like a little troll, little black kid. Like literally,
troll. Oh my gosh.
like just like a little stocky little troll. He
sorry,
was
dude,
super
if
cute.
you're
Sorry.
watching this.
Super cute. But he's like overly asking me questions like, oh, how are you? What are you up to today? Blah, 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 da, da, da. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm here. My husband's in the car waiting for me. He's like, oh, man, you got a man? I said, I got a husband. He's like, man, I wasn't sure if a tall glass of water would want something small like me. And I was like,
Little guy.
bro.
This is crazy.
So all that to say, when it happened, you get flattered. I think that is something that I've had this conversation with you as well. When you were on your health journey and losing weight and everything like that, and you become more noticeable and people begin to give you more compliments. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say never, but I rarely ever was upset that you were getting these compliments because I was like, you're mine.
Yeah.
So there was never a point where there was a jealousy and you never flaunted it as like, yeah, I know I look good. So there was the security that was still there, even though that there was more of attraction because you were getting healthy. For that to say is I feel like in relationships, you have to be mindful of your spouse and the way that they feel as well as far as their attraction. Because I think we talked about that with one of our friends. She's like, my husband is starting to do things that he normally doesn't do. And I said, because friend, you look so good. Your spouse also wants to look good next to you. So if it's for more...
Yeah. Basically, she had a big kind of like, we would call it a glow up. Already
Yes,
beautiful person,
very.
but just very, really started taking care of herself, really attention to, her more so, her desire to look more beautiful, in her 40s. And so, recently her husband, who normally doesn't care too much about what he wears and what he appears, he started caring, wearing a necklace, getting,
Nice
taking care of the
jeans,
beard,
nice
getting nicer
shirts.
shirt. And she was like, I don't like this. And it's like, and his premise was like, yeah, for so many years, I don't care. But yeah, I made a decision one day, like, I want to clean up my appearance for my wife. Her thing was like,
Who are you doing for?
he wants female attention.
Right.
And it's like, well, like, talk to him,
Right.
and obviously he may not tell the truth, but at the end of the day, through the security of your marriage. And I know for us, like, for me, that's always been the, what's been important to me is like how secure and how confident is our marriage? How good is our intimacy? How good do we communicate? Because what will happen is if you and I have a very bad communication style, if we don't know how to communicate, if we lack intimacy, in other words, the intimacy that you need, which for the average woman is more so emotional, it's more so supportive, feeling supported. And then for men, it tends to be more physical intimacy. And so what tends to happen when you deal with a person or a couple that maybe is walking in a lot of insecurity, either they have trauma or in that own marriage, there's been some trauma from the past in their own marriage, or there is a lack of intimacy somewhere within the marriage that then creates an insecurity. Like, well, if I'm not receiving any type of intimacy from you, then if you are taking care of yourself, or if I see you talking to a woman, my assumption is then that you are, trying to gratify an area that's missing. And so for us, even in the years of, struggles for us in terms of intimacy and other areas and stuff like that, our communication has always been strong. Our time together has always been strong. So even in those times and areas, I've never thought to myself. But also what happens is people's personalities are different as well. And you and I, in our relationship, I would say we've been somewhat in a lot of ways blessed in our personality types. Like, you don't really like talking to men, and you're not a sociable person, so to say, with men for the most part. And so you don't even, through our years, and we've talked, and I was like, hey, you ever talk with guys, hung out with guys when you were in college? And you're like, no, I had a boyfriend, but I've never been friendly with guys. And I've seen that. I perceive you're not friendly with men. You're not talkative with men. You don't necessarily talk to strangers. And then we talk to women. You'll talk to couples, but you just don't engage with men in the same way. So for me, it would be odd for me if you said, oh, this guy hit on me and here's the conversation we've had. I could say, well, that's out of your personality. That's a little odd. But if you were like a chatterbox with everyone, and then all of a sudden I see you talking to someone, I'd be like, well, that's Ashlee's personality. Let me hold on before I read into it. This is her personality. I'm not, even though we have a podcast and I'm a preacher, I'm not an extrovert. I don't talk to anyone, not men or women, so I don't engage people. I don't start conversation with people. It's not in my frame of mind because of a lot of reasons, but I live in my head is basically what it is. I'm not, I'm not super, I'm aware of what's going on, but I also don't engage with what's going on in around me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, in that case, it's if you were to see me somewhere and I'm just laughing and talking it up with someone or with a girl, you would think that's outside of Adam's personality. That is odd. That is strange. Let me think. But there are men who are they're extroverts,
right?
And maybe they're in sales. They're in some type of business where that fits their extroverted personality. And so, what will happen is men or women, they'll immediately be like, "Why were you so friendly with that girl?" Well, he was also friendly with a 90-year-old before, but you had no issue. I've always put you in the perspective also of your personality type. You've put me in the perspective of my personality type. So therefore you judge according to the personality type what is outside of the personality type or what is outside of what's common. Because what will happen is a lot of couples, let's just say a woman, for instance, will say, man, I loved him because every day's an adventure and he's not afraid to talk to anyone and he's so outgoing and he's so confident. I love that about him. But then at the same time, you're gonna demonize him for being somewhere, and just because the person is pretty in your eyes, because that was really your response.
Yeah.
When I said, when would you want to know that I've been hit on? You essentially said, here's the type of person I find pretty. Here's the type of person that would make me feel insecure.
Yeah.
If it's this type of person, I would like to know.
Yeah.
And then you said, if it's anyone else, even if they're gorgeous, it really wouldn't. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. But you said this is the type of person that makes me feel insecure. That's when I would want to know. And I said, oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I hadn't been hit on by that type of person, at this moment, right? So,
The Lord knows why.
Yeah, exactly. So that it was really good because it was oh, Ashlee's not saying she's just automatically jealous. Ashlee's, assuming, which you had told me, you're a handsome guy. I assume people, flirt with you. I assume people hit on you, or whatever, which really doesn't happen all that often because I don't make eye contact with
Right,
anyone.
right.
And then when I travel, I look at my phone the whole time. 90% of the time I travel with someone. So I'm not even aware of that situation.
Right.
But it just so happened that recently there was a couple instances that I was traveling alone. It was like, oh, wow, okay, I did get hit on a few
Right,
times.
right.
Okay, what would my wife want me to do with that? What would she want to know? What would she not care to know? And you said, well, okay, now that I thought about it, here's the type of person that I feel that I would want to know.
Yeah.
And okay, wow, yeah,
But
that's fine.
Even if it's personality type, though, there still should be like some type of like boundary. You still can't be like, oh, I'm a chipper person and I want to talk to everybody, so it's fine. Like there still should be
Well,
some type
the
of
problem
like,
is with the line in the with the boundary is then they are the person who's the social butterfly now has to be responsible for whatever you're insecure about or the
Yes.
person that you find beautiful. Because most people would, most people would say, well, I don't care that they're the opposite gender. I cared that person was attractive. And for the person who's more sociable would have to say, well, I didn't know you found that person attractive.
yeah.
I thought the person 2 things were attractive. We've counseled people. It's getting hot in here. We have the
I
heater
know.
on. So
We
I gotta
just turned on the AC. I know. I'm
like
sweating.
we've counseled people before where like the guy is attracted to very heavy set women. And so for natural beauty standards, like most people would say a very, very heavy set woman would be about as least, and I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm taking real life conversations, counseling Ashlee and have. But if we just naturally thinking like just natural, like the way the world stereotypes beauty standards is, you would think most of the time that a woman that is very heavy set would be non-threatening. That like if a woman saw her husband talking to it would be a woman that's like a cultural 10 that's like, I would be insecure with that. But with this couple, the man wasn't even attracted to women with, the model body and the model, race or whatever. And so therefore for that couple, the wife's like, I don't care if he talks to 10s. I care if he's at the grocery store and he talks to a woman that's ordering a bunch of pumpkin pies and is heavy set. That I'm at. So there is a level where I'm trying to portray like you have to know your partner, you have to know your spouse. And at the end of the day, if Ashlee had trauma or pain and she's just totally insecure, then yeah, I need a butt in my mouth. But I'm also not going to allow Ashlee to stay that way. And so as her husband, I'm going to say, I think you need to go get counseling. If I have anything to do with it, we can do couples counseling.
Yeah.
But if I didn't have anything to do with it and I didn't, do anything that created the trauma in your life and your past did or your ex-husband or whatever, it is your responsibility to go and work on that. It is not my responsibility now that I can never talk to a woman for the rest of my life.
Right.
It's another thing to engage in flirtatious things. It's another
Banter,
thing to
yeah.
know that you're being hit
Yeah.
on and now you engage in it because you feel that you're seen and that you're heard. And now if you are, number one, you need to go tell your spouse. This was what happened. If I was hit on and I felt seen and heard and I engaged in back. Well, where are you from? I am, but are you married? Have you ever been in a relationship? What's the longest relationship you've had? Oh my gosh. Well, 6 months. That's okay. Like I'm engaging in the flirt now, right? Like as a good husband.
I'm glad you don't flirt no more.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to do it. Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to do it. And so, I'd just be sending Ashlee emojis of just like eyes looking to the right and stuff like that. Like, yo, what's up?
What's that, girl?
What's up? So let's just say I did that. It would be my responsibility as a Christian man to go home and say, Ashlee, I was hit on today. It didn't go anywhere. We didn't exchange numbers. But what happened was I think I flirted back and to be honest, it felt nice. I felt seen and I felt it was stupid and Now I think about it, I'm kind of convicted about it. And, man, I just want you to know. And I think if it did feel something about it, I think maybe you and I got to talk about something because, like, I'm either lacking confidence or there's something in our relationship that's making me desire something that somehow you and I aren't pursuing together. Like, I want to work on that with you. Mm-hmm. Now, if she said, forget you, Adam, you cheated on me, blah, 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 I'm putting the cards on the table, like, and to her, we have built a marriage of communication that I truly know that I could have that conversation with her and she would be hurt and her feelings would be hurt and she would probably have a sense of insecurity. But I would feel that it's important to tell my wife this, that I caught a weakness in me, that I didn't, and to me, if I was sitting with a couple counseling, I would say, hey, that's not adultery, like that. It's wrong. He shouldn't have done it or she shouldn't have done it, but that's not an affair, they just met. It was stupid and he should have walked away or she should have walked away. But let's deal with why the stupidity happened. And it's not an excuse, but it's also what are you going to move forward and work from there? And so, in that case, it's like people know what is engaging in flirt or engaging in something for intention. Now, if Ashlee just said, hey, I'm in a season of my life where I am fed up with your friendliness, I cannot tell the difference between you flirting and you having a conversation, well, then I would just have to shut up. Like I would have to, okay, then I will not engage with this anymore. I'm sorry. Maybe I do. And there are guys, like they have been a flirt for so long, and there are women who have been flirts for so long that there is a season where you're like, yeah, you may have to just shut this off and stop talking to everybody because you don't even know the difference between what you're doing and what you're not doing. So I just recently talked to someone that I was counseling. They said, I just had to stop going out with any friends. I had to stop hanging out with any couples with my wife because they said, I just got to a point where I looked no different than these individuals that I just totally had to cut off cold turkey. All my relationships, we still talked, we would still engage in business, but he said hanging out, trips, dinners, he said I had to cut the whole thing off because I really couldn't tell the difference between them and me, and I'm a Christian man, and it wasn't good. And I was like, hey man, that's good on you. Good job for doing that.
Right.
And now he's been leading a lot of those people to Christ because he separated himself from that atmosphere. And so, it's moments like that of like, you have to be aware of where your relationship is at. You know?
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes like maybe as a man too, I don't know, but as a woman, I feel like it's kind of hard. Like you sometimes if you smile, the guy's like, oh, this is an open door. Like this might be, they're smiling at me. So this can be something. So we never fully know, obviously, the other person's intention. So in my head, I'm like, I'm just going to have a RBF face all the time.
Oh,
and like
definitely.
be serious because I can be the friendly type. And I feel like that's gotten me in tricky situations where the guy's like, wait, this is an open door or and I'm like no, like I didn't mean it on my end, like oh I just said have a good day, like whatever, but so I think sometimes for me it's like I'd rather just not even be not friendly at all.
I remember there was a time in college I told you this before.
Well, you and I just talked about it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
When we were on our trip at your school.
Yeah, there was a college coaches that my mom became friends with, super friendly, almost like dad figures while I was away at college, always checking in on me, everything.
Well, so for context, Ashlee went to University of Florida, which for the most part is you're either black or you're either white.
Right, pretty much.
So if you come in and you're, mixed, Hispanic, anything that's not white or not black, you stand out. Mm-hmm. It's uncommon in the South. Yep. You don't have a lot of, mixed kids in the South. You stay on your side of the field, right? So you come in and you're mixed, and so it's very unique and it's very different, and that's the context.
Yes.
is where you're going to say, and you had a coach that was like a father figure to you.
And he was always so kind, but he was one of the football coaches, so he knows, he hears, he sees. Those are his players, and he was basically saying, he said, "Hey Ash, I just want you to be mindful on how you smile at these boys. Be careful how you smile." And I was like, I love to smile. Mm-hmm. Literally, like that. Smiles was like all the time. Call me Smiles. Call me Smiles. that was what I was known for. Smiles and eyes is what they would say. And so anytime I would smile, I'm like, I don't know what you mean. Like, I have braces. I got white teeth. Like, I'm going to show these things off. I think Adam and I have had this conversation, side subject. I'm like, I love nice teeth. That is my thing. So I'm like, I took pride in smiling in my teeth. But when he had said that, he was like, you have to be careful because a smile can go a long way. Or the smile is the invite. Or because when you smile at someone, you're not only smiling, you're making eye contact. Mm-hmm. And if you're making eye contact, the eyes also speak. Mm-hmm. So you not only are smiling, but your eyes are speaking. Mm-hmm. So there is something where a guy could say, that's an open door. Mm-hmm. That is my initial, oh, we've made eye contact. Oh, we've made a smile. I feel confident. They see me. I see them. Now I can say something. Hi, how are you doing? And you're like, should I not smile? Like, and then you shut down real quick.
Right.
So that's where I like had to realize, like, even in college, like, I dated, but like anytime like I was dating, like there was nothing. And even when it was, like, I'm very much, I guess I would say, I wouldn't say I'm insecure, but for a woman to find themselves like, I guess I just don't have that. It's not insecure. I don't have that like, oh, I know I'm pretty. Like, and I know I'm like, that's just never been my personality. And I think it was the way I was raised. My mom, anytime someone would say, your daughters are so beautiful, my mom would say, oh, really?
Not like, oh, I know. They're
No,
gorgeous.
I know. Yeah. She'd be like, oh,
Thank
really?
you.
And then
They're
she would
gorgeous.
look at us. So, but in reality, I appreciate that. Not in the sense that I'm like insecure or I don't think I'm pretty or anything, but it allowed me to not flaunt myself or put myself out there or to overly smile. So even now in my marriage, I believe it was a characteristic of respecting myself and not putting myself out there as much and guarding my what is for my spouse and what is for my husband. So when it comes to the attraction or feeling that like, would I be upset if my husband got hit on? Or
Well, hold on. Before you finish, I just want to add context, too, because we've said this before, way back when on Beyond the Letter with Chelsea Bayham. It's like, but as a woman, you also can't feel guilty for being kind. You know, like,
Right.
if you're kind and you smiled at someone, and because Chelsea would be like, oh, I just feel so bad when I reject them. Like, I feel so bad that I smiled, and then I get mad at myself, and then because he came up and asked for my number, and I invited it. No, you smiled. You were being, you know the difference between a flirting smile and now men, if they're honest, they do know the difference between a flirting smile and just a kind smile or whatever. But some of these guys, they have
care.
no self-respect
They
for
don't care.
themselves or for women. So they're going to
gonna do
treat
it.
anything as an open door as long as you make eye contact. It's like my dog Spartacus. It's like I tell people, do not make eye contact with him because if you
Rooster.
do, my
Spartacus?
Spartacus was my dog from way back when. That just went default then. But my dog Spartacus and Rooster, they're just odd names, so they just sit there. But my dog Rooster, I tell people, do not make eye contact with him because if you do, he's going to think it's an invitation to be pet and he will not leave you alone until you do it. So I go, just turn away, you know? And it's like, there's some men that are just, they're odd like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like they just, and so like, you know, I've told Chelsea people, like, when you reject a guy because you were kind, don't feel bad. You know, if you smiled and then he came up, hey, what's that? And then you go, hey, no, not interested. And he's like, oh, and he walks away, and you're like, "Oh, I'm so dumb. I shouldn't have." You were kind. You were being kind.
No, and that's when they,
you know, you were
say,
in the
oh, you weren't
DMV.
even, you weren't even cute
like,
anyways.
I know.
yeah, you were in the DMV. You made eye contact. You gave a kind smile. You know, like
Yeah.
I even do that to men. If I make eye contact with a guy, I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" You know, like that is normally the kind gesture when you have an awkward eye contact with someone, or you know, I'll look at a guy, "Hey, what's up?" You know, like. Because you just stare at them, you're like,
Yeah, and I also
you're
think
just,
too, it's
you know,
based
like,
on the setting of where you're at, though. Like, if you're out at, let's just say you're out at a bar, be careful your eye contact.
well, but in general, don't be. What if you're at a bar? I'm going to assume you're single, and so let's hope so. If you're not with your spouse, And
Well,
hopefully you're
well-
single. So yeah, you should be looking at your phone, the game, or the people that you're with. Those are your only options. You know, if you're married and for some reason you find yourself at a bar, I would never be at a restaurant and think to make eye contact with somebody else that is not in my party. Yeah. So if you're doing that, you're asking for it. But if you're just out in the world and you're at the grocery store and you walk in through the door and you make eye contact with someone, you smile, and then the guy asks you for your number and you say no, and he gets mad, and then as a woman you think, I'm such an idiot. Why did I smile? I led that guy. No, you didn't. You were being kind. He was stupid. He should have went in and got his apples and his oranges and his milk and just left. Like, he don't have to, like, he can't be that dehydrated that he has to hit on every walking thing that gives him some type of eye contact. Just live life.
And at the same time, if
like,
you are single, be inviting. Like, don't be so not approachable. Like, if you are single and you are trying to, because where are you going to meet somebody, whether it's grocery store or, I don't know, FedEx or wherever you're at. But have you ever had a situation where you had, whether it was your friend, Ashlee, or your friend, that you had to be like, bro, you need to chill with my wife. Like, you're too handsy, or hey, they're every time this girl comes around, Pastor Adam, she's always complimenting him. Like, I don't understand. Like, we have to talk about this. If not,
well, women don't get around me, so
no,
right. Like friends. Like, if you had any friends that were just, you have maybe some.
We got
friends that are
3 friends. Let me think.
No,
in the past where you had to have that conversation.
Well, here's what we've had. We've actually had to have the opposite, and I won't name names, but
being nicer?
No. It was like so one of my closest friends, views Ashlee as his sister. And so he'll come up sometimes and give her a hug or give her a kiss on the cheek or whatever. And I've never been bothered by that. Ashlee has it. But the context of conversation was, I think it was man, I love that my friend considers you a sister and that he considers you family and he's, one of my closest friends. It wasn't man, and in his culture, they kiss in cheeks, his wife's culture, they kiss on the cheek. And so there is a cultural norm within their culture that for me has never bothered me in that sense and has never bothered Ashlee. And we not too long ago talked about it in the sense that it does not bother us, and that I appreciate that our relationship, and I appreciate that he considers Ashlee a sibling to him. I have had instances where there are guys who Ashlee's fun to be around, and so Ashlee fits in with guys. Most women don't fit in with guys, and so a lot of my guy friends like Ashlee being around because she's not sensitive. She could take a joke. She can joke back. She's not sensitive in any way. And so, there has been times that guys are they have said to oh, my wife has been jealous of Ashlee, being in the crew with the guys. And that has been conversations that I've had to have with Ashlee. And Ashlee isn't even the one that wants to come. It's me who's I've been traveling so much, I haven't seen you or whatever. It's hey, come hang out with us or come hang out with me. I want you to be with me.
Yeah.
And then the, wife was well, I wasn't invited. It's oh, well, Ashlee invited Ashlee because we've seen each other every day. Adam hasn't seen his wife for a week and a half. And we're talking about years ago and I'm compositing, 12 years of us being together, so this isn't stuff that's had of late. So we have had the opposite, and it wasn't anything about flirting or it was purely off the fact that guys enjoy Ashlee's company, not for any other reason other than she can roll, she can fit in. She knows sports better than I do, so she can, talk trash with them on sports and, colleges and all that. And so they're not yo, bring Ashlee, she'd be so much fun. It's oh, hey guys, I'm gonna bring Ashlee. Yeah, of course, man. She's the homie. Bring Ashlee. That's sis, And then it's hey guys, I want to bring my wife. It's dude, bro, she's gonna be in her phone the whole time. You guys are gonna fight, or or you're gonna end up leaving early. Come on, man. She's not gonna enjoy being there. So it's that. Those have been conversations that, and at the end of the day, I don't mind any of my guy friends bringing their wives, in that sense. But if it is going to affect the mood or his thing, I'm a very honest person. So I'd be hey, you should just stay back. because we don't want to deal with it, man. Like, you know, so and every guy knows what their wife's shortcoming is, and every wife knows what their husband's shortcoming is, because none of us are perfect. You know, I know what Ashlee's shortcomings are. I know what spaces not to bring Ashlee in, that she's not going to thrive, and she knows what spaces to bring me in that I'm not necessarily going to thrive. And so it's not even necessarily a diss, but yeah, now have we counseled people that like the spouses didn't like how a friend was, you know, had acted with them, or vice versa? I mean, we've even counseled, you know, couples where like the spouse's friends, they actually had something going on together. Right. And so it's like, yeah, we have worked with people that have experienced those things, and you even still have to be cautious around your friendships, especially when like, you know, when you're going to, you know, for many people that we counsel, it's like normally like alcohol is involved with those individuals, or something along that line. And you know, the abuse of those things, drugs or alcohol, is going to uproot a common evil that's in people, that they're going to feel that they have an excuse or a reason on why they engaged in a flirtatious or even in more. And you know, that is the things that often is the environment that causes a lot of friction within friendships and stuff like that. We more so have dealt with like, hey, my wife didn't like the way that, you know, Adam addressed her in a conversation, not like a flirting, more of like, oh, I offended them with something I said, or vice versa. Ashlee, you know, offended someone with what she said, which is not, we don't walk around offending people, but that you do life with people long enough, you get, you know, you're going to have debates around politics, and you're going to joke around someone's lifestyle, or around, you know, maybe someone else's family member that you thought was fair game to do. And all of a sudden there was a line that was drawn. Like, that stuff's going to happen in friendships and relationships. So we definitely have been, you know, in the center of that kind of stuff, which is very human, you know.
We haven't. And to your question, as far as like, have we ever been upset with somebody else's spouse getting too touchy? We know all of our friends and their personalities. I know some of my girlfriends are touchy. They're touchy. They touch you. They just want to touch you. They want to touch. Just want to touch you. They'll, oh my gosh, I have to tell you something. And then they're grabbing your arm, and then they're grabbing, and it's nothing flirtatious, but it's like, I have to tell you, and you're, girl, why are you on me? But it's okay, because then you're in, or there's people that like to talk like this. I just know their personalities, and it's not to say I love them for their personality and how Adam and I always send the TikToks back of how I engage in conversations when someone's telling me a story. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. So I have friends that are like that too, that may like Pastor Adam, or Adam. Oh my gosh, I don't. Then I know it doesn't do anything for him either. But
also
like
in the Hispanic culture, I mean, I you know, on Sundays I'll often, more so older women, but I'll get kissed on the cheek and stuff like that. And Ashlee's like, you know, I've asked Ashlee, like, wouldn't even know how I'd put a boundary around that, but is that something you would like want me to? And Ashlee's like, for someone who's Hispanic, a Latina who's, you know, in her 50s, 60s, and 70s, who greets her pastor with a kiss on the cheek, like, no, Adam, I don't. Okay. I wouldn't want you to be in that circumstance that you know, say, what are you doing? You know, so we have had to have many of those type of conversations of like, what is it that makes you feel uncomfortable? What context makes you feel uncomfortable? And it, you know, it's something like we've said, like we just said moments ago, we're regularly still having, because we want to make it to the long haul. So it's like, I don't want anything I'm harboring or she's harboring to burden us, and then us be 30 years in a marriage and be like, you know. I
mean, but I will be honest, there was early on in our marriage, Adam and I got married. I think we were married about a year, and I got a DM from an ex, and he was like, hey, what's up? How you been? Congratulations. I never responded, and I showed Adam right away. I was like, I don't play with that stuff. Those are conversations, like if the past comes, that does not sit well with me, because once you release it, I think if you don't allow yourself, here's why I told him right away, because I believe the enemy obviously wants to tear a marriage apart. If that message in my DMs would have stayed, or if you're allowing a DM from an ex to stay and not tell your spouse, you are thinking about that. You are allowing that to manifest. You are allowing the enemy to let that grow, and either sit there and harbor and make you feel good about yourself,
Yeah.
or on a lonely night or an upset night, or let's just say maybe a drunken night, you will go and return that or respond and return that response. That for me, I knew in that moment, I'm in a marriage and I honor my husband. I need to show you right away. That is inappropriate. It was wrong. I did not respond, and it is deleted. And I literally showed him everything, and I said it was deleted. And so if you are dealing with that, or if you're like, I don't know how to tell my spouse because he's going to be upset, he's going to be more upset if you didn't tell him and he finds out.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
now
and
it's
here's
like
what
you're
I do.
hiding something.
I'll take it a step further.
Yeah.
Let's just say you did engage with it, and you say, hey, yeah, I did. I'm newly married. Blah blah blah. Been married a year, et cetera, et cetera. How are you? Where are you at? And he said, oh, I'm engaged. Wherever he was at in life, right? And let's just say, a couple days, couple weeks goes by, and you start feeling guilty, and you come to me and you said, hey, Adam, this is what happened. This is how I responded. For me, here's the first question I would have is, do you feel like what you did was wrong? If you said at the time I didn't think, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's wrong, then what I would say is, I want to say thank you so much for telling me. I do want to let you know that something like that does make me feel uncomfortable, and I am upset about it. But you told me, you understand now that it's wrong, and so I love you. Thank you so much and for me, that would be that. It would be over.
Yeah.
Now, let's say you said, no, I don't think anything was wrong. I catched up with an ex. It's a friend. You have friends, blah, 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 blah. I don't think, I didn't flirt. We caught up. He's about to get married. I'm married. What are you so insecure about? Then I would say, well, that is a line in the sand for me. That's a boundary. Whether you agree with it or not, will you promise me that you will block him and you will delete those messages and you will never have a conversation again? If you said yes, then I would still have to make a decision and say, okay, her maturity's not there. There's conversations we need to have, et cetera, et cetera. Now, if you say, whatever, I'll do it, but I disagree, or no, I don't want to, then it would be, okay, well, the next thing is that I would like to go to counseling. I want to go to couples counseling, and I want to talk about this because I think you are dead wrong. And I think if we continue down this road, you're going to do something stupid or I'm going to do something stupid, because now you got me questioning whether you're going to be faithful to me. And because that is, to me, something that is unfaithfulness, and you don't think it's wrong.
Right.
So therefore, I've made it clear to you that that's unfaithfulness. If you don't agree with it, we're going to go to counseling. Right. So just for perspective of, because I know some people may say, oh, that's great. Ashlee got a text. She didn't respond. They moved on in their relationship, right? But for me, it's, well, let me take it further for you. This is how I would respond if these things happened as a Christian man. Here's would be my approach. My approach would not be blow up, anything like that, or whatever, or think, well, I'll get you even, I'll hit up my ex, or anything like that, because that we've counseled enough couples that's the resolve that people end up taking. Now, obviously, you go further and it's adultery and all the, it's either an emotional affair, and a physical affair. We've been DMing at night while you say, okay, well, I get to make a decision whether I want to divorce you, maybe for sure counseling, but also I have on the table, I can leave the relationship God has given me. So it's like, I'm taking that serious all day long, but the let's just say there's a stupidity or a naivety that's like, oh my gosh, I thought it was nothing. Then now I think about it, it is something. I'm going to show you grace. And so it's that it's knowing your spouse and having that communication on the front end, and just from the beginning, like, year in with that situation and other situations early on in a relationship it was building a foundation of like, oh wow, I trust her. And so it was important for us, and specifically for me, to be very honest about things from the beginning, so that you knew, hey, if we got married one day, he tells me things that I don't even like. He tells me things that even may end in an argument. Therefore, I believe I'll trust him. But when you have a faux marriage that's like, oh, I don't talk to my spouse about anything that causes conflict. I just hide it. I sweep it under the rug. She sweeps it. I don't even care as long as she don't tell me. At some point, Scripture makes it clear what's done in the dark will come to the light. At some point, that will come, and then you guys won't know how to handle.
Right.
You just won't. So then you'll just end up cutting each other off, ignoring each other, sleeping in the different rooms, but in the same house, doing it for the kids, et cetera, because you've never learned how to deal with things that make you feel insecure.
Right.
Never know. 5 years ago, I text you, do you find me attractive? I feel like you do not find me attractive. Why do you not want to be intimate with me? What is wrong with me?
Right.
And I had a breaking point, and you were like, "Oh my gosh, my husband thinks I'm so attracted to him. What the heck did I do?" And so like that. But we had built so much transparency for so long that wasn't a conversation that necessarily turned you off. It was, we've always been honest with each other. So now, hey, this is where I'm at. Like I feel like you think I'm a roommate and you don't even desire me.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my goodness, what is wrong with me? What did I do? And you immediately called, the people that we're accountable to. And you're like, I want to tell you guys right away, here's how Adam feels. I feel like I failed him. What do you guys suggest I do? Et cetera, et cetera. That didn't create a hole in our marriage. That strengthened our marriage.
Right. Right.
And that's what a lot of couples won't do.
Yeah, they won't have the hard conversations, or even just this was a friendly conversation we were having. I wouldn't even say this was a hard.
The flirting one?
The flirting one.
The recent one we're talking about. Yeah, of course.
Well, I'm saying like that opened now our conversation to what we're having right now.
Right.
Opened that door of where am I really at in our marriage as far as like my security, our relationship, our communication. This is a fun topic. This is something that we should be able to laugh about, troll each other about. What would I say? Would I fight? Would I be upset? Would I be honest? Would I be loving? Would I be kind? Would I be forgiving? I think that is a level where when you come into a relationship, you have to be mindful of all of those things and knowing that you're dealing with someone else that's not going to be the same as you. But knowing what you said was so beautiful was knowing their personality. You married them. Why are you shocked? Like you can't be shocked when you see your spouse being so flirtatious, and if it's just that one person that you don't agree with, you can't say, "No, I don't like it."
Yeah.
You've been okay with this whole time. So, and knowing both of us, we neither of us we become blind Bartimaeus.
Well, I'm awkward in general, all of your friends know what, those that are close, and most of it's family, and you got some friends, but even like my sister, everybody knows that like, I don't like being touched. I don't like being talked to in a sense. Like I don't
You
like
hug at him. He's like,
I don't like compliments. I don't like, so like even a couple weeks ago, you and I renewed our vows. Sanaz, my sister-in-law, came up to me and was like, I know this is going to be really hard for you. It's going to be really uncomfortable, but I'm going to say some really nice things about you as a husband to your wife, and then I'm going to give you a hug. Is that okay? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. And she like started saying like, you're such a great, I'm so proud of you, blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, and then now I'm going to hug you. Okay. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I was like sitting, so she was going to come behind me a hug. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. It's fine. So like, so people that know me would be like, even if I touched at him, he's going to move his shoulder. He's going to back up. I'm not going to make a big deal of it, but I'm not going to, and that, so people, the idea that even people closest be like, like that I like engaged with anyone in like a flirtatious thing, they would be like, is that even comprehensible for Adam? Can he even do that?
Right. I was gonna say I've never both on both ends. I can like confidently say like there's obviously so much security within the relationship, which is what people want. But obviously it takes a lot of work. You guys have shared like all the hard conversations and things you've gone through. So like with Pastor Adam, I've never heard him like be out of line with anybody or been like, oh, is that like never ever, And with Ashlee, like. Obviously, she works with a lot of men, but it's never been a question of like, oh, is that too much? Like, should I talk to her? It's never been that. And I think it just stems from the security within the relationship. Yeah. Where it's like, there's that confidence there. And obviously we're human. There's probably some times that it's like, why are you looking at him like that? Or, whatever. Yeah. But I think that's just what everybody strives to be, like have that secure relationship with your partner. Like he's not going anywhere when you're married, you know, she's not going anywhere. We're going to work together. So, yeah.
And like even people we've mentored, like people, Ashlee would be like, oh, you look so handsome today, you know, and maybe he's like a year or two younger than me or even a little older than me. But it's like people, you look so, I love your hair like that. I love your hat like that. I don't be like, why you tell them that? I'm like, no, I agree. It's about time he got a haircut.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not,
Yeah.
I don't think like, why'd you tell him he was handsome, Ashlee? He looked really handsome. He took, you know, he wore, that was a nice outfit. And I'd even chop, man, yeah, you look really good, bro. It wouldn't, you know, so it's, and Ashlee is like friendly in that sense, and anyone that is in our community, Ashlee will engage and talk to in that sense. Me, and even like, you know, some of my best friends are like, well, you look beautiful today. You should wear dresses more often. You look wonderful in that, or whatever. Ashlee's like, what? Well, you tell her she looked beautiful. You didn't tell me she looked beautiful, you know. Or I'd be like, you know, I'd make a joke or something like that. Like, man, dude, you better go get a haircut because your wife, she's out playing you right now. You're playing, and so because we encourage each other's relationships in that way. And in our community, it's us encouraging one another to be in a community and to compliment one another and encourage
have the
people
security
to
in your
you know, and the
marriage.
security of in your marriage and your spouse be right there and then not think, well, I'm going to bring it up later and I'm going to tell Ashlee, like, don't tell him he looks handsome. You haven't said that specific word to me. It's like, you know, it's like
Adam, I guess
it's
Adam
the,
and I,
you know,
I would say just even in our friendship group, we're really particular too with our friends, where we've even done it with Nathan and Sanaz, which he would probably laugh at. We'd be like, oh, you wore pajamas and Sanaz looks to the 9. Okay. Like we'll call each other out. Like we're very much in a loving way, but like knowing like we love each and every single one of our friendships in our in our group, but it's one where we're like, hey, like we encourage each other to look each other like to encourage each other to look their best for their spouse. Like we will always, and not in a judgmental way or anything like that, but we'll even like encourage the husband. Did you like that? And they'll be like, oh yeah, I bought that for her. And then we're like, all right, you like it, we like it, sort of thing. So, but for us, we always want to make sure.
They do the same with us.
Oh, absolutely,
You know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
We always want to make sure anyone that we're around that between both the husband and wife that they have a security, not in their spouse. Because that's not my security. I'm secure in Adam, but my security doesn't come from Adam. My security comes from within and knowing that I believe that my husband loves me completely. I believe that he made his vows to God for me. But I also believe that Ashlee has done the work on the back end to be better for herself. Our marriage started off rocky with my insecurities, but then I grew in God and in my confidence in God. So in reality, in my marriage, I look at my marriage, and some people may look at this way, and you can agree. If hypothetically we fail in our marriage, we fail in our marriage, infidelity, whatever. It just so random. Like we've gone through counseling, we've done all the right things and all of this, and let's just say infidelity just happens. Adam failed obviously our marriage, but he failed God. And so Adam has made that statement before. Like I committed to God in this marriage. And so for me, I'm not only failing my marriage, I'm failing God. And that is a bigger weight to bear than failing my marriage. I now have to answer my convictions, my guilt, my shame, every weight that comes with it, but then also the weight of I have a family. So in our marriage, I'm confident not only in my husband, but I'm confident in God, that God has my marriage, that I'm confident that God sees my marriage. I'm confident that God will protect my marriage from every outside source that comes in to try to kill, steal, and destroy of what the word says. I'm confident in God, knowing that he has my marriage until death do us part. And I believe that wholeheartedly because we seek after him to pour into our marriage. We seek for him first, knowing that he will have our marriage. And we've talked about it multiple times, even with in our marriage sprint, how he has to be the foundation in order for our marriage to succeed.
Yeah. No, that's great. And speaking of our marriage sprints, if anyone ever wants to get access to that, Ashlee and I have a marriage curriculum that you can watch on video for free. You just go to Patria, which is our church, patriasprints.com, and it's a 5-hour e-course that you can go through, and it talks about healthy marriage and relationships. And so if for some reason you say, hey, I think me and my spouse, like, we're really dealing with a lot of stuff, and it could be a mix of things: communication, intimacy, understanding your spouse's career choices, all that stuff like that. You can go to Patria Sprints, Patria sprints.com, and then there's a bunch of sprints we have: how to read your Bible, leadership, all that. You'll see one that says marriage, and you can do that as well. Also, newly is that there's some things we're working on. Ultimately, it's called Faith at the Table. It's going to be it is our ministry name, which composites all of our things that we do. Beyond the Letter, Beyond I Do, all the resources that I work on. And so right now you can find not all of that, but it's going through adamessa.org. But, what Ashlee and I do is also with Beyond the Letter. I mean, it takes energy, it takes finances. We have a team, it takes equipment. And so if for some reason you want to partner with us financially, we've always considered like sponsorships or whatever. We say, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're just going to ask our community to give. That if anyone ever, we're a nonprofit 501c3 owned by Patriot Church, and so, but this is our our version of media ministry. And so, if anyone ever wants to partner with us through generosity, through a donation, we would send some resources your way and stuff like that. But more than that, if you ever want to donate to us to allow us to continue to do what we do, you can go to adamessa.org and you can go to give, and it's all tax write-offable. I don't even know what that word would be. You could write it off in your taxes because it's 501c3, but also it just allows us to continue to do what we do. We have multiple in the studio. This goes to editors and everything like that, but ultimately it's to serve people. It's to help people. The amount of people we've heard that their marriage, their relationships, their singleness has improved because of this podcast. I literally cannot count the number, how many people. And so if you ever think to yourself, hey, I would love to support Beyond I Do, how can I do that? You could do so through your giving. And so that you can do right now. Eventually it'll be at a website that includes Faith at the Table, and that's all of our stuff. But right now you could do that at amessa.org. First time we've shown about that. Yeah, but hey,
love it.
We're 3 years into a podcast, 2 years into Beyond I Do.
Yeah.
We got to start supporting this channel outside of just our regular church, because a lot of people listen to us that don't go to our church. And so it just helps us a ton. There's stuff that we always dream that we want to improve here, and even in terms of reaching more people. And I'm writing curriculums right now. I've written a book on a Galatians study, and I'm doing one right now for the holidays, just a short book to help you if you're grieving during the holidays and stuff like that. Maybe you've lost someone, maybe you've gone through a divorce and holidays are hard. I got this, small book that we've written that could help you as a devotional series. So that kind of stuff is all through donation at adamessa.org. Yeah.
That's great.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy
Or if
Thanksgiving.
this is post, hope you had a great Thanksgiving. God bless you. Bye.